Welcome everyone. We have discussed about the preparation of statement of profit and loss and statement of financial position. And we also discussed about the probable adjustment cases that may come along with the preparation of final accounts. So let us discuss a practical case regarding that. Next case. Following are the ledger account balances of Jobin Limited as on 31/3/2019. Debit side, credit side is given. Go through each of these items and make acquaintance with each of these heads. Means each item is a part of each of the heads of financial statements, especially the statement of profit and loss and statement of financial position. So first of all, familiarize each of these items, whether each item comes under which head or in which statement, like that. So you have to familiarize the statement first. After that, deal with the practical cases. So go through each of these items. I believe almost all the items are familiar to you guys. And in the additional information will be given in the question. Go through each of these information. In another sense, we can say these are the adjustments with regard to this question. So remember, when there is additional information given in the question, you have to mention those each item twice in the preparation of final accounts or financial statements. Provision for doubtful debts, transfer of 25,000 to general reserve, dividend proposed, directors propose a dividend of 10% on equity shares, closing stock is given, depreciation, claim of 10,000 for workman compensation, prepare final accounts. So first of all, let us prepare the statement of profit and loss. So this is how you have to write the title for the statement. Give the name of the company, Jobin Limited. After that, statement of profit and loss for the year ended 31/3/2019 given in the question. Particulars, note number. I believe you know what is meant by note. What is the purpose of note number? Next one, figures for the current year and figures for the previous year. That is the meaning of this one. So in a statement of profit and loss, what is the first item? Incomes of the concern or the revenues of the concern. So first of all, find out the revenues or incomes of the concern. So revenue from operation with regard to a detail given in the question is sales, 4,60,000. Also make sure whether there is any sales return associated with the sales. If there is any sales return, show the net sales amount. So sales 4,60,000, revenue from operations 4,60,000, and next one, other income. Make sure whether there is any other incomes apart from sales. If you go through each of these items, you can see that discount received, it is a sort of sales, so it can be included under the head other income. So other income 5,000. There are no other items that can be included under the income side, so let us take the total of incomes or revenue. We can say 4,65,000. Now we can go for the expenses head. There are many heads and subheads comes under the expenses. Let us begin with expenses. Under expenses, first of all, we can write down on the basis of the details given in the question rather than the format. Some of the items may be missing as per the format, so let us mug up those items and show only those items specified in the question. We have learned that under expenses you have to write the cost of material like that. Since it is not given, you need not have to show the items that is not mentioned in the question. If you are mentioning also, it doesn't matter. If it's, for example, cost of material is not mentioned in the question, still you can write cost of material, and in the amount side you can write down either nil or a dash line, or else you can write down only those items that is given in the question. As for this case, we are not going to write down the cost of material case, only the details of the purchases. Since there are no purchase return, we can show purchases purchases 1,80,000. After that, let us go for the next important one, change in inventories of finished goods. I believe you all know what has to be done in this head. Go for the opening stock as well as closing stock. Opening stock will be given in the trial balance and closing stock will be given in the adjustment. So closing opening stock minus closing stock, try to do like that. See, in some text you may see that closing stock minus opening stock, still they are writing a negative value. The concept is, if the opening stock is bigger than closing stock, you have to write down the positive value. That is the concept. So it's better to write down always opening stock minus closing stock. You don't worry about the amount. If the opening stock value is bigger value, then you will get a positive value. If it is smaller value, it will be a negative value. So you need not have to by heart it that you always the opening stock value must be bigger, then only you can write down the positive. Never consider like that. Just take the difference between opening stock minus closing stock. If you are getting a positive value, show the positive value. If you are getting a negative value, show the value within the brackets. So 35,000 minus 36,000, 1,000. Next one, after that you can go for employee benefit expenses and make sure whether there are any payments that are made to the employees in the form of salaries or wages. And apart from that, there is an additional item that is of rare while dealing with the cases regarding the preparation of financial statement. Remember, establishment, actually this is an amount spent on the behalf of the employees of the concern. It is an amount relating or that comes under the employee benefit scheme. So remember, if you come across a question where establishment is given and there are no other information relating to that, you can definitely include that item under employee benefit scheme. See, 93,000. Remember, establishments. Next one, finance costs. Finance costs mainly include all those expenses with regard to any loan or credit obtained by us. See, in the question directly given, interest on loan 10,000, show the loan interest on loan amount. After that, you have to include the details of depreciation. Depreciation will not be directly given in the trial balance. It should always be given in the additional information, but it is not a strict rule that it should be given in the additional information. Sometimes depreciation may be given in the trial balance. Since depreciation is given in the adjustment, you have to show it in two places. So first of all, find out the amount of depreciation, that is 10%. Find out the value of the plant, 7 lakhs. So 10% of 7 lakhs, you will get 70,000. So next one, other expenses. There are still some items that we couldn't able to include in the heads which we have written right now. So find out the other expenses. The other expenses include carriage 3,500, selling expenses 12,500, discount allowed 3,000, and finally provisions. See, here in the question there is an additional information that you need to provide a new provision for doubtful debts, that is 5%. In the question there is already a provision, so the provision given in the trial balance is considered as a old provision. Apart from that, the company is asked to prepare a new provision on 5% on debtors. So what is the amount of debtors? Go for debtors value 80,000. So 80,000 into 5%, you will get 4,000. So 4,000 has to be shown. And there is a peculiar method for showing the details of bad debts and provision for bad debts in the statement of profit and loss. I believe we have prepared the same pattern in the first module, where you have to prepare the final accounts in the form of trading, profit and loss, and balance sheet. And we have learned about how the bad debts has to be dealt. I am not going to explain the same topic again, because we have already discussed about how a bad debt has to be treated, how the provision has to be adjusted, how new provision, old provision has to be dealt. We have discussed about all these areas. So go for the format that we have mentioned in the first module. So as per the concept, If there is new provision given in the question, that is in the additional information, here you were asked to find new provision. So if there is new provision and old provision, you need to take the difference between the new provision and old provision. Actually the format will be like this: if there is any bad apps during the year, you have to take the bad apps, plus if there is any further bad apps during the year, you need to add that amount with the bad apps amount. If there is any new provision, add the new provision also, and finally you need to deduct the old provision from the above three items. Since there is only new provision, you take the difference between the new provision and old provision. The resulting value is 1000, so take the total, you will get 20,000. Show this 20,000 under this head, other expenses. So right now we have dealt almost all the incomes and expenses. So now take the difference between the total revenue and total expenses. Total revenue is 4,65,000. Total expenses is 3,72,000. So you will get profit before tax during the period is 93,000. And next you need to adjust tax. You may think that during the discussion of a format we have discussed about more heads, because apart from these items there are many items. We have discussed about extraordinary items, we have discussed about exceptional items and profit or loss with regard to each of these two categories, and also the tax expenses for extraordinary and exceptional items. But in this case we haven't shown or mentioned those items. The main reason is in the question there is no information regarding any of the exceptional or extraordinary items. So you can write all the items as per the format, and you can show nil or dash for the items for which the amount is not mentioned, or else you can show only the details given in the question. You can follow any pattern, and it's all up to your discretion. The only thing is, don't forget to mention anything that is given in the question. So since there is no information regarding extraordinary or exceptional items, let us go find the profit for the period. So tax expenses, since there is no information regarding tax, let it be dash. So profit for the period, again it will be 93,000 itself. Now what we have to do with the profit for the period? This amount belongs to the owners of the company, or else we can say shareholders of the company. So we have to distribute the same to the existing shareholders. So find out what are the items or for the total number of shareholders during the period. In the question it is given there are 50,000 equity shareholders are there. So show those items. Earnings per share equal to 93,000 divided by 50,000, 1.86. So this is how you have to deal with a practical case. We haven't completed yet. Right now we have prepared the statement of profit and loss on the basis of the trial balance and the additional information. While dealing with each of these individual items, make sure whether there is any information relating to that particular item in the adjustments or in the trial balance. Go through each of these adjustments again and again. Provision for doubtful debts we already adjusted here. Transfer to general reserve, it is not relating to the statement of profit and loss, so we are not adjusting it. Directors proposed payment of dividend. Payment of dividend is not recorded in the statement of profit and loss. Closing stock we have already taken. Provision for depreciation, definitely it has to be shown here. Finally, claim of 10,000 for workman compensation is being disputed by the company. The concept of this adjustment is, it's quite tricky. Anyway, the concept is, there is an issue with a workman against the company, and there is a case against our company is done by the worker in the court, and the court hasn't yet taken any decision regarding that. So there is a dispute in process. It haven't yet resolved. So what is the situation of this particular transaction? Do the company has to pay the 10,000 rupees to the workman for the compensation for any issues? Do the company have to pay? The case is not yet complete. Do the company has to pay the fine or the claim amount? Since the case is not yet complete, we need not have to pay. Since we need not have to pay, this amount is still in progress or in process. Such items is included under two heads. Since it is an amount which the company is liable to pay, we can say this comes under liability. And since this liability is not yet occurred or happened, we can include that as, or that has to be included under the head contingent liability. Is there any treatment for contingent liability in any of these statements? Think about it. We will discuss that by the end of the problem. So, right now, statement of profit and loss is complete. Next, let us prepare statement of financial position. So, here you can see the pattern of the question along with the working note and the statement which you have prepared. So, on the basis of this information, let us prepare statement of financial position. Statement of financial position comprises of mainly assets and liabilities, and as per our schedule, we are beginning with assets. So, first of all, write down the title, Job in Limited, balance sheet as on the date given, particulars, note number, figures, current year values and previous year value. Almost the same pattern of a statement of profit and loss. See, it's very easy. The pattern of presentation means that boxes and number of columns is almost similar in case of a finance statement of financial position as well as the statement of profit and loss. Let us begin with the assets, and in the assets we will begin with non-current assets. Under non-current assets, the first and the foremost is property, plant and equipment. So check whether there is any fixed asset that comes under. Usually in the question they will never ever directly give property, plant and equipment and its amount. Usually under property, plant and equipment there are a number of items that will be given scattered in the question. So find out all those fixed assets. So you can see fixed assets include land and building, plant, and I believe there are no other items. And remember one more thing, whenever you check each of these items, also go through the adjustment, whether there are any adjustment relating those particular item. First one, provision, it doesn't belong to the asset. Transfer to general reserve, it doesn't belong to asset. Provide depreciation on plant, there is no information regarding land and building, so consider the depreciation for plant alone. So as an additional note, first of all, plant 7 lakhs. In the question it is mentioned that depreciation of plant is 70,000, 10%, 10% of 7 lakh is 70,000, so 6 lakh 30,000. Next one, land and building 4 lakhs. There are no other further assets given in the question, so you will get 10 lakh 30,000. Show the 10 lakh 30,000 in the respective area, 10 lakh 30,000. Next one, current assets. Under current assets there are different categories. We will be having investments or financial assets, trade receivables, cash, cash in hand, cash at bank, etc. So first of all, let us find out each of these items. We will begin with inventories. Are there any inventories given in the question? Yes, it is given. Stock. Can you take this stock, or else we can say opening stock in a statement of financial position? If you having any confusion regarding whether to take this stock in the financial position or financial statement, just think about the balance sheet which you have prepared in your smaller classes. Did you record the opening stock in the balance sheet, or did you record a closing stock in the balance sheet? We have learned to record only the closing stock in the balance sheet. So never include this stock in the statement of financial position. So inventories include closing stock, that is 36,000. Next one, financial assets. Under financial assets there are some subheadings, so check whether each of these items. First of all, let us begin with trade receivables. Make sure whether there is any trade receivables given in the question. See, under trade receivables, the main item, that is debtors, 80,000 is given. Make sure whether there is any adjustment with regard to that. Yes, first adjustment is with regard to debtors. That is, debtors is 80,000, but during the year you have provided a new provision of 5% on debtors. So you have to adjust that provision. So next, working note with regard to trade receivables. First one, trade receivables, we can use this trade receivables synonymous to the term debtors. Don't get confused with that. You can even write the term debtors here instead of trade receivable. It doesn't matter. So debtors is 80,000 less provision 4,000 we already computed. So 76,000. Show 76,000 here. After trade receivables, I believe we have recorded all the current items or non-current items. We have already recorded current items and non-current items. And one more thing, see the most important one, cash in hand, 73,000. Show that item also, cash and cash equivalents. Under the cash and cash equivalents, cash in hand, 70,000 only, because there is no information regarding cash at hand, cash in hand and cash at bank. So we can finish the asset side. So let's take the total of assets. You will get 12,15,000. Now you can go for the other side of the statement of financial position, that is the liability side. So here again the question pattern. We will begin with liabilities. First of all, you have to write the heading equity and liability. Under that heading, we will begin with equity. So under equity, you have to show the details of share capital and other equities. So first of all, let's deal with share capital. Here share capital amount is given 50,000 shares of 10 each. So I have mentioned that while writing the share capital, there is a certain pattern for writing. Even though the amount is already given in the question and we will take only this one, there is a certain procedure for writing down the share capital amount. It is to be like this. Since there are some items that has to be included under the equity share capital, we can do another working note. Next one, equity share capital. Authorized capital is 50,000 equity shares of 10 each, 5 lakhs. You may think that it is not mentioned anything about authorized capital issued or called up and paid up in the question. Still we can write this one, because in the question already it is shown 5 lakh in the trial balance. That means the company might have authorized rupees 5 lakh as their share capital, and authorized share capital might have been issued to the public, and all the capital may be subscribed by the public, and it is fully called up and fully paid up. Since all these situations had happened, then only we can write 5 lakh here. So it is assumed that all these happened like that. So let it be written in the format authorized capital 5 lakhs, issued and subscribed 5 lakh, finally called up and paid up capital 5 lakhs. I am not mentioning anything in detail regarding this area, because we have learned in numerous cases about preparation of final accounts with regard to share capital in the module issue of shares of a company. So if you have any doubts regarding this pattern written here, refer that module. So let us show this 5 lakhs in the respective area, 5 lakhs. And next one is other equity. I believe you all know what is meant by other equity. Other equity means reserves and surplus, and for reserves and surplus there is a certain pattern for writing down reserves and surplus, and still there are adjustments that has to be considered with regard to the computation of reserves and surplus. So let us do that. Other equity mainly means reserves and surplus. So let us prepare the reserves and surplus heading. First of all, let us begin with reserves. So go through the question and make sure whether there are any reserves and funds given in the question. So if you go through the question, you can see that there is a reserve 3,25,000, there is a dividend fund equalization fund 70,000 is there, and there are no further information regarding reserves. Now go for the adjustments. Provision, it will not, yes, transfer to reserve 25,000, show transfer to reserve. So this is how you have to prepare or compute a preparation of statement of financial position as well as profit and loss. Go through each individual item, whether it is coming in, means whether it is to be included in the statement or not. See, you have to go through debit side as well as credit side. Make sure whether all the items has been included in the statements. So we have completed the reserve side. Next we have to go for the surplus side. So surplus means surplus includes surplus values and profits for the period, profit, opening profit given in the question, like that. There is a pattern for that. You have to go through the pattern and learn it. So under surplus, first we have to include the profit which we have computed 93,000, but before 93,000 we have to first of all consider the opening profit because it is given directly. So P and L on 1/4/2018 means opening profit. So first of all write down opening profit, add current year profit. We have already computed current year profit 93,000. Don't forget to include this amount. Usually most of the students will record all the items in the question in the respective heads, but they fail to record this one because they will neglect this item because it is already completed. So all the students will go through the question and adjustments only. They will forget this one. So don't forget it. So we got 1,35,000. Still we haven't completed the reserves and surplus amount because we included all the amount that has to be added. There are some items that has to be deducted from these heads. In the question, dividend directors propose a dividend of 10% on equity shares including interim dividend. So 10% on equity shares means what is the amount equity share? Equity share capital is 5 lakhs. So 10% of 5 lakhs is 50,000. But in the adjustment it is mentioned that director propose a dividend of 10% on equity shares including interim dividend. So first of all find the 10% of 5 lakhs. 10% of 5 lakh is 50,000. That 50,000 includes the interim dividend amount also. So go through the question whether there is interim dividend given or not. See, interim dividend 10,000 is given. So as a dividend, the directors agreed to provide rupees 50,000 towards shareholders as dividend. That is 50,000 rupees as dividend. Out of this rupees 50,000, 10,000 is relating to interim dividend, and the remaining 40,000 is only considered as proposed dividend. Proposed dividend and interim dividend both are different. So first of all, write down. First of all, transfer to reserve 25,000. I have mentioned about this 25,000 concept and this 25,000 concept as yesterday. Here we have included because we have taken certain amount from profit to the reserve side. Since we have taken only reserves item, that is why 25,000 is taken here. Here we have deducted 25,000 means all these items is computed to find out the profit, current year profit. And out of profit only reserve is transferred. Since it is taken out of profit, we have to deduct the same item again. So 25,000. Next one, interim dividend 10,000, it is already given in the trial balance. And after that, proposed dividend, that is rupees 40,000. I believe you have understand how the 40,000 is obtained. And finally, another important item, corporate dividend tax. If you go through the question, there is no information regarding whether to provide corporate dividend tax or not, but still you need to provide. If there is any dividend offered in the business or the company, it should be provided with tax. So corporate dividend tax, for what amount the tax has to be provided in the company, the directors has planned to provide rupees 50,000 towards dividend. So you need to provide the tax for the entire dividend amount. So entire dividend amount is 50,000. Since there is no information regarding the tax rate specified, you can assume that let that amount be 20%. So 20% of 50,000, you will get 10,000. Take the total of these items, show it here. Now take the difference between 1,35,000 and 85,000. You will get the net amount of 50,000. Now adjust all the amount. In simple sense, you can say if you add together all these items, that is 3,25,000, 25,000, 70,000 plus 42,000 plus 93,000 minus 85,000, you will get 4,70,000. You can do in any pattern as you like. The only thing is make sure to add only those items that are intended to be added, and make sure you are deducting the correct values. So the value of other equity is 4,70,000. So we have completed the equity side. Next is the liability side. Under liability, let us begin with non-current liabilities. Under non-current liabilities, let us begin with long-term borrowings. You can see that long-term borrowings is given in the question. Secured loan of rupees 1 lakh. So it has to be shown here. And after that, next heading is current liabilities. Under current liabilities, again another head, there is financial liabilities. Under financial liabilities, next is trade payables. If you go through the question, you can see that there is no such thing as trade payables, but trade payables is a term used synonymously with creditors. That is the other meaning of creditors. So creditors is 60,000, show 60,000 here. After that, next you have to consider other current liabilities. Other current liabilities means bank overdraft is there, 35,000. After that, next important one is provisions, because there is provision for doubtful debts is given, provision for proposed dividend has to be considered. We have to include corporate dividend tax under provision. We have learned about the provision format in the last session. The items that has to be included under provision, we have discussed about those areas. Refer those format to familiarize how the amount of provision is to be computed. So provisions include proposed dividend provided during the year 40,000. Remember, under provision we can include only proposed dividend. No interim dividend cannot be provided. So proposed dividend is only 40,000. So they take the 40,000. After that, corporate dividend tax 10,000. And you may think that there is a provision regarding doubtful debts, but we already adjusted the doubtful debts under debtor side, so don't need to consider that provision here. So provisions amount is 50,000, and we have included almost all the items of assets as well as liabilities. So take the total of liability, you will get 12,15,000. So earlier we have got the asset amount as 12,15,000. Now see total assets is 12,15,000, and we also got total liabilities as 12,15,000. So our computation was correct. Now finally we have one more item that we haven't dealt anywhere, that is the last one, claim of 10,000 for workman compensation. I have mentioned about how that concept has been dealt. Claim of workman compensation is a contingent liability, hence it has to be shown as a footnote below the balance sheet. So how we are going to show a footnote? Once you complete the statement of financial position, that is after writing a line under the total of equity and liability, you have to write an additional note, that is contingent liability includes claim for workman compensation of rupees 10,000. So this is how you have to deal with contingent liability. The same pattern is followed in case of contingent asset also. Usually contingent liability is shown as a note under the preparation of statement of profit financial position. So this is with regard to the preparation of final accounts, or otherwise we can say financial statements, mainly the statement of financial position and the statement of profit and loss. Let us discuss one more case relating to the preparation of final accounts. Next case, following is the trial balance of Aishwarya Limited as on 31/3/2019. Items are given, particulars, amount, debit side and credit side amount, and there are some adjustments regarding that: closing stock, outstanding wages, provision for taxation, debenture interest, provision for tax, directors purpose dividend, corporate dividend tax, and authorized capital. I believe we have discussed about almost all the items that may come across in a financial statement preparation. So try to answer this question by yourself. You may come across some of the doubts. Don't worry. If you have any queries regarding that, please do let me know. So try to deal this question case.